Alright, what is up, folks? So I'm coming back to the topic of dating. So my video on interracial dating 2 weeks ago received over 1,700 comments. It caused quite a firestorm in the comment section. So I want to come back to this topic. So I mentioned in the previous videos that China has a massive excess men problem. There's estimated to be at least 40 million excess men in China, and it is even worse in India. And the number could be as high as 70 million excess men. This is due to gender selective abortion and female child infanticide. But however, there's an even bigger problem for the female side. So the recent number that's come up is 100 million. So what do I mean by 100 million? So right now it's estimated that between the ages of 20 to 40, there are at least 100 million women that is single, unmarried, and childless. That seems to be a little bit insane, considering that there are so many excess men. So every single Chinese woman should be able to easily find a good match, right? Well, that's what you would think, right? So in China, there's a term for this. It's called 剩女. So 剩女literally translates to a leftover woman. Now, many years ago, let's say back in the 1980s, if you hit the age of 25 and if you're still not married, you were considered 剩女. And then many women started freaking out about this, and they pushed the age back to 27 and 28. And now the standard in 2024 to be considered to be a 剩女in China is at the age of 30. So I mentioned this before, the standard for dating and marriage, the requirement for a man has basically become absolutely ridiculous, that very few men will ever meet these requirements. So all of these single ladies end up becoming cat parents. Here are some examples. For example, this is what you need for a man to find a Chinese wife right now in 2024 in the modern day. There's the height requirement. The vast majority of Chinese women, I would say over 80%, will only accept men who are at least 180 centimeters. In China, they use metric units. It's about 5 feet and 10.8 inches, which obviously I don't meet that requirement. On top of that, you have to provide a house. And typically at the minimum, these Chinese women, they want 100 square meters or 1,076 square feet. It needs to be a minimum of 3 bedrooms. You need to have a car which is brand new. You need to pay them 彩礼. So 彩礼 translates to dowry. What 彩礼is that it's a cash payment. It's made from the husband to wife. Basically, she's saying that she's the price. And if you want me to marry you, you have to give me this money. And this typically right now in China in modern days, roughly minimum 200,000 yuan. So 200,000 yuan translated to US dollars is roughly $28,000. You're expected to have a minimum income requirement. And also, you're expected to pay 3 months of your salary on the wedding ring. You're also expected to pay for your bride's dream wedding. It cannot just be a cheap wedding at some rec center. And on top of all of this, you're also expected to pay for her dream honeymoon in full. Ladies, you don't think that's a little bit ridiculous? I'm telling you, the concept of hypergamy is 100% real. It doesn't matter where you go. And to other people asking me, have I tried to talk to my family back in China, and they can possibly set me up? If it was easy, I would have done so many years ago. It's literally impossible. The first two things they ask you is like, what is your height? And I mentioned before, I'm 5'8", right? Just boom, no go. Then after that, they ask you, do you have a house? And if you don't have a house, done. Women will not provide financially for their man. They just wait at the finish line. No, I'm just telling you this. I'm not trying to be a misogynist or sexist. I'm just saying this is 100% truth, right? She's not gonna date a guy that's broke. She's going to say that, what, let's work together. Let's grind away for the next 5, 6, 7 years so we can save up for a down payment, so we can finally get that dream condo that we wanted. This is why the number of 剩女 in China is skyrocketing, despite the fact that there are tens of millions of excess men. And okay, if you don't believe in hypergamy, there's also a term for the top 1% of income earners in China, okay? It's called 小三. So this is all the top 1% of income earners. This is how these successful Chinese men, this is how they roll. All of them have a harem of women. All of them have the Andrew and Tristan Tate mindset. None of them will ever commit to one woman. I know all of you ladies want to blame on the man, but can you really blame these men? Because all of the women wants these exact same top tier guy. So the term 小三, which literally translates to a little three, but it basically means a side chick. It means you're a backup tire. It means your part-time girlfriend. This is your summer fling, your situationship. All of the guys in China, I would say 99% of the Chinese men that's in the top 1% of income earners have this kind of a 小三 mindset. They all have a harem of women. And there are so many Chinese women out there, they're just more than happy to be someone else's 小三. They would rather be the fifth backup tire on the back of that Toyota RAV4 rather than finding a guy that, let's say, makes $50,000 a year, that's not particularly tall or good looking, but it's a great husband material, has great moral standings. That guy will never cheat on her, and he will treat her like a queen, and he will respect her, and he will stay by her side for the rest of her life. Women won't do that, so they would rather live the life of a 小三. And obviously, there's one more element that I want to mention. I can't blame all of this on the ladies. Some of it is fault of the parents, also the pressure from the society, and also from the Asian culture. For example, they want everybody, to become a doctor, to become a lawyer, to become an engineer. Becoming a doctor and lawyer and engineer, that's not for everybody. And if anything, you got to give these jobs to the man. I'll give you an example why so many women are becoming 剩女 in China, okay? So if you want to become a doctor, you want to become a lawyer. So by the time you actually get all of your qualifications, you're going to be at least 30 years old. When a woman goes through this learning process, and when she accumulates all these credentials, and when she becomes a successful career woman, many of these women are, 30, 35, 40. You wasted your best years. You wasted your prime. What makes you think that, a guy that's a neurosurgeon that's making, $400,000 a year, what makes you think that he will choose a wife that's 30 or 35 years old, where he can choose 18 or 20 years old? And of course, there's also the role of the extremely strict parents. And they tell their daughters that, oh no playing time, no boyfriend, no social media. You have to study hard. You got to go to school. You got to get your undergrad. You got to get your master's. You got to get your PhD. You got to get that $200,000 a year job. And finally, by the time they get all of their credentials, they're 30, 31, 32 years old. And now their parents start blaming them. They say that, oh, how come, look at all your friends, your best friend got married when she was 22. She's happily married with 2 kids now. Another friend got married at 24. Another one got married at 25. All of them are happily married. They've all secured high-value men. Well, whose fault is it? So if you try to back out from your career, you try to look for a man, your parents will blame everything on you. They say that, oh, you're a shame to your family. But if you dedicate everything to your career and become a career woman, you become a leftover woman in your 30s that's single and childless. So this culture itself is extremely poison. Ladies, just remember that, men and women are different. We have our different values, we have our different needs, and we have our different struggles in life. Your struggle is that, by the time you reach the age of, 27, 28, 30 years old, you're going to have to make a decision. You have to either choose between finding a man and starting a family or becoming a single, successful career woman. You can only choose one, okay? It cannot work both ways. You cannot become a career woman and a mother. So, which one is it going to be? And if China hopes one day to reverse this trend of the population collapse, which I don't see it happening, I do genuinely believe that this is a agenda pushed by the elites of the world, and they want to destroy the nuclear family, they want to destroy the society, and they want to destroy the world. But if there's any way to reverse this trend, is that you have to give all the good paying jobs to the man. I'm sorry, that's just the reality, because women will never, ever marry or procreate with men who make less money than them. So if you give all the good paying jobs to the woman, society is going to end. And that is a universal principle. It's accepted by the heaven and the earth.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing.